in Psalm 23. It's been a series, and I hope it has been a blessing to you. It was definitely a change in gear because we had very hard on the heart sermons before this, and we switched gears and kind of looked at the father heart, the shepherd heart of God, and how He is revealed in the scriptures, as Jesus has revealed Himself in the scriptures and declared in the scriptures that I am the great shepherd. And we are going through Psalm 23, which is also a shepherd psalm because it's written by David the psalmist, who was a shepherd boy who took care of sheep. And in this psalm, as we read through it, we realize that he's not talking like a shepherd, but he is talking as somebody who is in the shoes of a sheep, being led by Jesus, the great shepherd. And it has been an amazing journey. I hope it has been amazing for you. It has been amazing for me, and being able to get a glimpse of the heart of this shepherd of ours, and his desire for us, and how he, through this journey that we undertake with him, and the variety of experiences that we go through, and as we face each of these experiences, different as they are, we also, through that experience, through that encounter, through the experience, we also get a glimpse of a new nature of God, a new aspect, a new attribute about God that we can cling on to and claim it as our promise to be used in future situations. We saw in Psalm 23 verse 1 that He is our shepherd, that we shall not lack any good thing. He's revealed Himself to us as Jehovah Jireh. We saw in verse 2 that He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He has revealed Himself to us as Jehovah Shalom, the Lord who is our peace. And He alone can give us the peace that passeth all understanding. We looked at verse 3. He restores my soul. He leads me in the path of righteousness for His name's sake. We saw that He has revealed Himself to us over there as Jehovah Rapha. I am the Lord that heals you. When we wander off and make a mess of our lives and we cry out to God in our failures, He is there to come to us, to take us and put us on His shoulders like a shepherd finds the lost sheep and tends to our wounds and restores and heals us. And He has revealed Himself over there as Jehovah Rapha. So it is very interesting as you take this journey with the great shepherd, and as you face different situations, you get to know Him in a way that you would not have known Him if you had not encountered those situations. And those names of God are so amazing, they're so powerful, they're so revelatory, that they come with a promise that He's saying, I am. I believe, now I never understood in my younger days when I read the Old Testament scripture, I am that I am. Was it a grammar mistake or something like that? But it was like God saying, as I grew older and I understood Him better in my journey, it was like God saying, I am that I am in any situation you face. I can be anything to you in any situation you face. Whether it be Rapha, whether it be Shalom, whether it be Shammah, whether it be Jireh, it doesn't matter what you go through. I am to you everything that I need to be for you in that situation. So it's a beautiful journey that as you go with the psalmist, in that journey you realize as you encounter different situations, he kind of reveals himself a side of his nature that is so powerful that you can hold on to it as a promise. When we saw that we shift gears in verse 3, after verse 3 we come to verse 4, we see that the sunshine and the golden the golden rays and the sunshine and the green grass and the waters and everything disappear, and you suddenly realize that the psalmist is now walking, or at least being led by this great shepherd, into darker areas and cloudier areas and not so beautiful scenic route, where you actually see that you're walking through the valley of the shadow of death. And you see that in the valley of shadow of death you are facing evil. There is struggles and pain and fear, and in the midst of all that He's saying, even though you are walking through that, I am Jehovah Shammah. He reveals Himself to you as Jehovah Shammah over there, or the Lord God is with me, or there's another translation that says the Lord is there. It might not look like He is not there, but He is there. And He's encouraging us through that name of Jehovah Shammah, that even though I am so supernaturally and sovereignly allowing you to go through the valley of shadow of death, do not be dismayed, do not be discouraged. I am there with you in the midst of that darkness, in the midst of that evil. I am with you. I will be your strength. We will overcome this together. We will get victory over evil, and we will overcome our fear. And we saw that it says there in the end of verse 4 that because I am there with you, not only I am there with you, my presence is there with you, I also want you to know that my comfort is also there with you. Nakam, which means that I weep along with you. If you weep, I weep with you. If you hurt, I hurt. That's the real deep meaning of Nakam, and I thought that was very revelatory when to know that dark as it may be, I'm not alone. Overwhelming as it may be, the evil, God is my strength. And when it hurts really bad, to know that He's by my side and I can feel His gentle touch, and He's comforting me when He's there with me, and feeling the same thing that I'm going through was very comforting to us. And we closed off with a thought about that why is it that the journey never stayed with the green grass and the clear, quiet waters? We could have just stayed like that, but surprisingly, sovereignly, God allows not only green grass and clear waters or cool waters, He also allows the valley of shadow of death. So we were coming to the conclusion last time that trials, my brother, consider it sheer joy if you undergo, not if you undergo trials. James 1:2-4 says, it's not if you undergo trials, it's when you undergo trials. So it's not a choice. It's a matter of when. So from that picture and from this picture together, if you combine, you get to the conclusion that there is no escaping the valley of shadow of death. It is part of God's sovereign and amazing plan for us to go through trials, through dark times. And we were looking at why trials are important in our journey. We said trials reveal who your God is, or trials kind of reveal who you will run to. Trials reveal who you are. It kind of shows what your faith is and what stuff you are made of. Trials also transform you because it keeps you humbled, and as you go through the trial, you get a glimpse of the nature of God in a way that you would never have seen Him if you had not gone through a trial. And it is purifying, it is sanctifying. You come out of the trial much more matured than if you had not gone through it. And what we did last Saturday was we looked at the example from Daniel, and I hope to look at another example today, and we'll close if we run out of time for the next thought. We looked at Daniel's, actually in the book of Daniel, but we were looking at the life of Daniel's friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and the stories, for those who are not here, the story of Daniel chapter 3, verse 14-18, where they are put in a very difficult predicament, where the king of the land, and they are all exiles, Jewish boys, young men, exiled in Babylon under King Nebuchadnezzar, and he comes up with this wild idea to make this huge golden statue. And he says that when the worship team starts worshiping, everybody has to bow down to this statue. And somebody tells the king that everybody is doing it except these three boys. So he brings the boys up to them and tells them, I heard you're doing so-and-so, and so all you have to do is just bow down. That solves the problem. And the boys answer, these young men answer in very powerful words. They say, their answer, if you see Daniel 13, chapter 3, verse 14-18, he say, even if we cannot bow down, because that we bow down only to one God, and He alone is God. So when they were facing that trial, they pointed to the true God. They revealed who their God. If they compromised and bowed down to the golden statue, What are they saying? That is the real God. The golden statue that Nebuchadnezzar built, and we bow down to it, and we are the last ones who are not bowed down. When we bow down to that, we are saying that is the real God. But now these young men are saying, we will not bow down to this image because we believe in the God of Israel, the Almighty God, the only true God. So when they were faced with a trial, when they were faced with a choice, when they stood for their faith, they actually revealed who their true God was. And they concluded their remark by saying, now, if you were to put us in the fire, which is a punishment, we believe our God is able to save us. But the king judges them, puts them in heats it up 8 times or 7 times more hotter, puts them in it, and up to that point, no salvation is coming. Nobody's coming to say that. The God is not coming to say that. Everything is happening. They refused, the judgment is passed, they are being taken to the fiery furnace, the fiery furnace is being heated up stronger, hotter, and everybody would wonder, when is God coming to save? And nobody comes to save. They are actually put in the fire. Then the salvation of the Lord comes, because they are looking in the fire and they are saying, who is the 4th person with them in the fire? And they bring, and nothing happens to them for some time. They get bored. They bring them out and they look at the hair on their bodies also doesn't smell of fire. And so through that trial, they revealed who their God was. And through that trial, they also revealed what they are made of, what stuff they are made of. So that's the example we looked at last Saturday, and I just want to look at another example today. I believe there are more examples in the Bible where you have men and women going through trials and revealing through those trials. And interestingly, some of those trials are, when you cry out in some trials, God answers with a yes, and you give glory to God. Lord, I went through this amazing, difficult, overwhelming trial, and I cried out to the Lord, and He came so powerfully, so strongly, so quickly, and the answer was instantaneous. And you come to the front of the church and you declare as a praise testimony, saying the Lord. But all trials don't end that way. Some trials are, Lord, my child is dying, save this child, and no word comes and the child dies. There are some trials that there is no answer. The heavens are just shut. No yes, no no. No no. Just waiting for the timing of the Lord. So you can see that there are so many instances in the Bible of men and women going through trials. And I just picked 2 that are very close to my heart. And we looked at what happened to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Today I want to look at another man who I'm a great admirer and respecter and adoration of, is the man Job. If you can turn with me to Job chapter 1. Now, most of the stuff happens. Most of the stuff, if you want to get a nutshell of what's happening, because it happens in Job chapter 1 and 2, and after that there's a lot of discourse between Job and his 3 friends. But I just want to focus on this man who's undergoing a trial, and this is no ordinary trial. This is no ordinary trial. I wouldn't wish this on anybody, or I would never ask God to put me through such a kind of trial. Though I did have a glimpse of a small version of it. For those who are not familiar with the story, let me just go through this really quickly. And please go home and take your time to read Job 1 and 2 and meditate on it. Here it says in Job chapter 1, verse 1, there was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, and one who feared God and shunned evil. So the writer of this book, the author of Job, is telling something commendable about Job. He was blameless, he was upright, he feared God and shunned evil. Which is a really good testimony for a man. And then as you read downwards, you will see that the man is abundantly blessed. He has everything. He has family. If you want to check off a checklist, you can start checking now. He has a wife. He has 3 daughters and 7 sons. Total of 10 children. And he has, verse 3 says, he has possessions, 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 female donkeys, and a large household. And so you have a good testimony, you have a good family, you have a big family, you have lots and lots of possessions. And I think the richness was not how much carat gold you had in the bank. The richness was how much cattle you had, how much property you had. And not only that, this man, look at the testimony of this man in the land. This man was the greatest of all the people of the East. So he has everything on the checklist, and every life is going fine, picture perfect and beautiful. And then things take a turn. Why? Things take a turn in the life of Job, and it does not make any sense to Job or to his family why things took such a terrible turn. But if you were to take a glimpse, if you are teleported or transported like this to the heavenlies, this is what's happening over there in verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came among them. Wow, interesting. Verse 7, and the Lord said to Satan, from where do you come? So Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro on the earth and from walking back and forth on it. I told you he never takes a vacation. Verse 8, then the Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil. So now you read in verse 1 a testimony about Job. Now somebody else is saying the same testimony about Job. Who's saying the same testimony about Job? God is testifying to the same goodness about Job. The same words are used there in verse 8. The Lord said to Satan, have you considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a blameless and upright man, one who fears God and shuns evil? So Satan answered the Lord and said, so this is the conversation that is happening. In verse 8, and I think I mentioned this before, in verse 8, I'm going to cross the line and boundary and say, when I ask you to go home and read it again, and to me it looks like when in the assembly of all these beings, these angelic, supernatural beings who are standing before God, I am actually getting a glimpse of God showing off Job. Because it's like, what are you doing, Satan? Oh, I'm just walking back and forth. I want to tell you about a guy. I want to tell you about a guy. Did you see him? That's the picture I'm getting there. The Lord said to Satan, it was not even in the mind, the devil never started the conversation about Job. God asked the devil, what are you up to? Oh, I'm walking back and forth. God is asking the devil, when you were walking back and forth on earth, did you see my show-off guy, the guy? Did you happen to encounter him? Did you meet this guy? This guy who fears God and shuns evil? Oh, there is this showing off about the Job, this feeling of pride that God has when it came to Job. And God actually initiates the conversation with Job, with the devil about Job. And then, smart as devil is, he's answering God like this. You can talk about all these good qualities about Job. Everybody's talking. He's the greatest man in the East. He's got everything on his checklist. You're also, I heard good testimony about him while I walked back and forth, and now in your presence, you're also telling all these great testimonies about him. Do you know why he's able to maintain such a good testimony? Do you know why he's able to fear God and shun evil and make the right choices and be a wise man? Do you know why he is all blessed? Why this good testimony? Because he's able to do all this. Why? The answer is there in verse 9. So Satan answered the Lord and said, does Job fear God for nothing? So he's saying back, there is an ulterior motive, a hidden agenda for Job to be godly. And the hidden agenda is that because you have blessed him. Because you have blessed him, it's easy for him to be a good guy. It's easy for him to be a blessing to others. It's easy for him to worship you. It's easy for him to fight sin and evil and stand on your side and declare about how good you are. Why is it so hard to declare the goodness of God when God has given you everything on your checklist? God has abundantly, amazingly blessed you with everything. You lack nothing good. Anybody can worship the Lord. Anybody can give God the praise and the testimony and the worship. So, you're saying good things about Job. I am saying he is able to do that. It's easy for him to do that because you have blessed him. Have you not made a hedge around him, around his household, and around all that he has on every side? You have blessed the work of his hands, and his possessions have increased in the land. But now, verse 11, let's play a different game. Then I will show you, now give him to me. Satan is telling God, give him to me, and I will do something with him, and I will show you. You are such an expert at plucking out people's heart and showing them to them, right? Now the devil is saying, give Job to me, and I will do something to him, and I will show you what his heart is. Let's put him to the test. He's a big holy guy because you bless him. He's a big holy guy because you protect him. It is because you have blessed him abundantly and everything is increased in the land. Give him to me, and I will deal with him. And then I will show you that he is nothing. He is nothing. He will curse you just like anybody else when you take away the blessings from his life. And the devil challenges God like that. And it says in verse 11, but now stretch out your hand and touch all that he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. The devil is putting the challenge back to God. You stretch out your hand, the same hand that has blessed him. You stretch it out and curse him and take everything away from his hands. And he will curse you too. The verse 12 says, and the Lord said to Satan, behold, he gives the permission back to the devil. Behold, all that he has is in your power. There is a spiritual principle there. Behold, all that he has is in your power. The principle is there that you cannot be tormented, you cannot be attacked, you cannot be tested unless the Lord gives permission. And the devil is actually asking the Lord for permission. In fact, the devil did not ask God, initially he didn't ask God for permission. He said, you do it. The devil is asking God, you stretch out your very blessing hands and curse him and take everything from him. But the Lord is saying, I am not going to do it, but I give you permission. This is how it looks. You are in the palm of his hands. This is actually how it looks. He's opening his hands. God sovereignly is opening his hands so that the devil can come and attack you. Till then you are in the palm of his hands, shut tight, nothing can happen to you. Only when God sovereignly allows and opens his palms so that evil and trials and testings can come in, he allows it sovereignly for a purpose. He allows trials for a purpose. And you can see him unfolding this very hand that held Job in the palm of his hands and showed him off to the world, to the angelic beings, showed him off. Now is giving permission to the opening up his arms, and the protection is gone, the covering is gone, the hand of blessing is being withdrawn, and the fingers are opening up, and the devil is given permission to attack Job, who is in the palm of God's hands. And the Lord said to Satan, behold, all that he has is in your power. Only to the first part of the testing, there is 2 levels of testing for Job. Chapter 1 talks about the testing regarding all that he has. It says that everything he has is in your power. Only do not lay a hand on it. That means, I give you permission to test him, to put him through a trial. But a trial is allowed only upon his possessions and what belongs to him. You cannot touch his body. Chapter 2, God gives him permission to touch the body also. Now, what I want to look over here and close is the permission is given in verse 12. Then from verse 13 to verse 19 is a nightmare. It's a nightmare. It's like you're standing at the front door of your house and one cop is coming and telling you one bad news. And it's like Job doesn't have any moment of break between one after the other. You have from verse 2 and 3 talks about his list of blessings and possessions. Verse 13 through 19 shows 2 and 3 lists all his blessings, whether it be in the form of family, property and animals or cattle. 13 to 19 talks about how we lose one after the other. If you checked off everything on the list, in this 13 to 19 you can uncheck everything from the list. Everything he has in 2 and 3, he loses between 13 to 19. And they come, and the bad news comes one after the other. It's like the guy who brings the bad news, before he can stop saying the bad news and take a breath, another guy comes and gives the next bad news. And in a moment of time, in just a quick moment of time, you have Job face just an overwhelming tragedy, one after the other. It's like suddenly he loses everything he has except his wife. His world crashes down between 13 to 19. Everything that made him what he was, the great man of the East, everything that gave him identity, his goodness, his possessions, his big household, his cattle, his riches, everything that gave meaning to life, everything that gave identity to him, he loses it. Quickly. Immediately. It is a terrible, terrible trial. And it actually happened. It's a terrible trial. And, I think I shared this before. It is God gives the devil the permission to do all this. He does all this and fulfills his mission, devil. And I believe he's standing in the presence of God and he's telling God, now you showed this man off to me about some amazing guy he is, strong, powerful man, a man of great testimony and blah 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 and all that stuff about him you told me. Now with your permission I have taken everything away from him. Now you get ready for him to curse you. Now you get ready. It's coming. Be ready. Be ready. He's getting up. In verse 20, after all these bad news come to him. And I don't know, you just go home and read it and put yourself in his shoes. And apply it in your life and you are facing these one bad news. This many camels gone, this many donkeys gone, this many sheep gone, this many cattle gone, sons died, daughters died, house broke down, put yourself in your shoes, and if you can't take one bad news. Put yourself in shoes, you're experiencing 5 or 6 at the same time, one after the other. And the whole angelic world, the spiritual realm, is standing there and watching to see, now that they all had come and given the bad news, what is this man going to do? Is he going to get up and curse you, oh God, just like the devil said in verse 11. Take it away from him and he will curse you. And they were getting ready to see that. The devil was getting himself ready to see that. Because that's what we all would have done. Because it doesn't make any sense. How, 10, 15 minutes ago, life was so good. I had everything. 15 minutes later, everything is gone except my wife is beside me. And then in verse 20, after everything has happened, after all, he's received all the bad news. And his heart is broken again and again and again. It's broken through and through and through. We see what Job is made of. He has gone through a terrible ordeal. He has gone through a terrible trial. And through this trial, Job rises up to tell all the, Job and his wife and his family has no clue where this testing initiated or what is happening in the spiritual realm, in the heavenlies. They have no clue. All they know is that suddenly life is completely different. Life is completely changed. Things are not the same as it was. It is no longer beautiful, comfortable and sweet. We do not know why this is happening to us. But in the heavenly realms we know, we who read Job know what is happening. And after his heart has been broken through and through, Job rises up and shows who he is, who his God is, and what he's made of. It says there in verse 20 and 21 and 22, let me close with that. It says there, and I believe strongly, if I have the freedom to paraphrase, I believe strongly the devil did not see this coming. The devil was there on the heavenlies telling God and all the angelic beings, get ready for this man. Now that all the good news has been bad news has been delivered to him, get ready for him to stand up and curse you, God. And this man whom you showed off will prove to be just another man like everybody else. But in verse 20, follow with me, verse 20, 21 and 22, this is it's a goosebump situation. And even though it gives me goosebumps, it also leaves me with a challenge. Lord, who will I run to in my trial? Which God will I declare and reveal in my trial? What kind of a stuff I am made of? Look at this man, he went through 13 to 19 stuff that I cannot, even after tasting a fraction of it, it's terrible. What is this guy made of, Lord? Because he says in verse 20, then Job arose, tore his robe, shaved his head, and he fell to the ground and worshipped. Why? Why would he? That doesn't make any sense. Why would he worship? Why would he worship? There is nothing to worship God in this situation. He has every right to curse God. His wife is cursing God and telling him to curse God and die. The logic tells me that you should curse God and die because you have nothing left to live for. Everything is gone. Curse God and die. But this man rises up in his pain and his agony, tears his robe and shaves his head, and he falls to the ground and worships God. I can see the jaw of the devil dropping. I didn't see that coming. But now you know why God showed off Job. Because God knows what stuff he's made of. He doesn't stop with worshipping. And he not only stops with worshipping in 20, he declares something amazing. He not only shows when he, in his pain and his agony and in his loss, when he rises up and he falls to the ground and he worships God, he is showing the stuff that he is made of in the time of a trial. Then he goes on to show who he is. God is also. The God, he declares to everybody that is watching him in his pain and his agony, and to all the angelic beings, he's showing who his God is also. Because he says there, naked I come from my mother's womb, naked I shall return there. The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away, blessed be the name of the Lord. None of this makes sense. None of this makes sense. Why, no Lord, that you, the Lord, gave me my wife, my children, my possessions. Why, oh Lord, would you take them away? Are you crazy? This does not make any sense. What kind of a God are you? These are the questions we would ask, because none of it makes sense. But he says to the world, to the natural world and to the spiritual world, he's saying, do you know that? Do you know the God I follow? Do you know the God I serve? If you don't know, I want to declare it to you. I serve a sovereign God. A God who is always seated on the throne, who is always in control, who always does his will, and who never makes the mistakes. He is always in control. That's what he's saying in verse 21. I am presenting to you, I am revealing to you, I am showing to you a God who is sovereign. Who am I, puny man as I am, to question his decisions and his wisdom? He gave me my wife and my children and my camels and my donkeys and my cattle and my everything. He gave me. I received it with gratitude. He take it away. Who am I to question him? It's his. It's his. I bow down to you, Lord, and I worship you. And I declare, it was yours. It belonged to you always. When you wanted it, you took it away. And my response to this God who is sovereign and who has the right to give me and take away, I declare to everybody who's watching me, blessed be his name. He's not wrong. He's always right. I trust him. I trust him with my life. I trust him with my family. I trust him with my possessions. I trust him with my blessings. He gave, he takes it away. I bow down and worship him. I trust him completely. I yield to his decision, his sovereign wisdom. It does not make sense to me. That does not mean I cannot feel the pain. Does not mean I cannot cry. Does not mean I cannot agonize. He does all that. He rose, he tore his robe, he shaved his head, he fell to the ground. The pain and the agony, everything he's exhibiting over there. All that is allowed. God understands that. But at the end of the day, what are you made of? This is a man who This is a man who knows his God. And because he knows his God, he reveals what he is made of, what stuff he is made of. My question to you is, will God show you off to the devil like this? Will God show me off to the devil like this? And if he does show us off, will we stand the test of fire? It's a hard call. It's a hard call. Trials reveal who your God is. Trials reveal what stuff you are made of. God showed off Job, and Job rose to the occasion and showed the world that he was worthy to be showed off. He faced the ultimate test, the ultimate tragedy, the ultimate ordeal, and still said, the Lord gave, the Lord has taken away, blessed be the name of the Lord. In verse 22 it says that in all this Job did not sin nor charge God with wrong. There was no finger pointing. There was no blame business. There was no blame game. There was no finger pointing. He's saying, Lord, if you gave it to me and you are the source of all my blessings, who am I to question when you take it away and why you take it away? None of it makes sense. But my faith rises above the circumstances and the situation and the pain and the agony, and believe and trust in a God who I know that in the deepest of my heart we cannot make a mistake. If I blame Him, if I compromise and I fall, I am saying, Lord, you cannot handle my life. You are not strong enough. You make mistakes. How can you blame God? He does not make a mistake. He's always right. He's good all the time. He is sovereign. He does have no oopsies, no surprises. He is always right. He's always good. He does not make a mistake. When that truth of God is etched on your heart in fire, burned in there, the sovereignty of God over trials is etched in on your heart so deep, you will be like Job. It doesn't matter what you go through. You will say, blessed be the name of the Lord. The Lord gave, the Lord taketh away. I will bless the name of the Lord. I will not sin. I will not blame God. I will cry, I will agonize, I will do everything. But once you are gripped by the sovereignty of God, you will also become like a Job. And if you are like a Job, praise God, He will show you off. He will show you off. And when He shows you off and you rises up and fulfills that amazing truth that Job revealed about himself, and you rise up and fulfill that truth about yourself, God will show you off and God will be pleased with you. And that brings glory to God's name. Shall we pray?